Hey guys, and welcome back to the Divine Witch. Hopefully, your guys' Yule was great. I know I enjoyed mine, and I enjoyed the Yule party that we were a part of, and I'm so excited. And I will eventually share that video down the road. But today we are going to go over covens. Should you be in a coven? What to expect once you find the coven? Are you sure that you are ready for a coven? These are all important questions, and we will be going over that today. But before I even start, what exactly is a coven? Now, depending on who you talk to, covens for certain people mean different things. But back in the day, covens were anywhere between a few to 13 people. And the reason behind this was during the burning times, if witches did gather around each other, they wanted to do it in small groups. One, it didn't bring anybody suspicious of what they were up to. Two, smaller groups, you tend to have less drama, less worrying, less conflict. And another thing is, which is a great tradition that started with covens, is why some book of shadows were black. Because black would have been able, you would have been able to carry a black book or your book of shadows with you, because the Bible back then had the black cover. So it just looked like you were carrying your Bible with you. Um, Now we're going to move on to the point, should you be looking for a coven? You know, a lot of people, when they're in the magical community, especially starting out, the first thing they want to do is be with other witches, which is a great thing. And they want to jump right in and find a coven. But here's the issue, covens take time and they take dedication. And they're going to take some money too, because you got to have supplies, and if you got to rent a spot out, you have that, food. There's expenses that come with a coven. It's just not like, hey, let's meet at so and so's house and we just cast a circle. Well, you got to think, you've got to have candles if you plan to do a certain type of spell work. So keep that in mind before you even start looking for a coven. Another thing to keep in mind is, are you able to make it to the meetups? And here's what I mean by this. I've seen people do it who get really gun ho and want to join a coven. They reach out to certain people, they get, you know, contacts, and they're like, well, this person's in your area or that person's close to you. Reach out to them. You reach out to them, it's great. And then you tell them, okay, well, this is the meetup for you to meet. And then they don't show. And then later you find out, well, it's not that I forgot. It's that, right now, the situation that I'm in, I'm with people who don't understand my path. Now, I'm going to say this with love and light and everything that I possibly can. It's nothing against you. But if you are looking for a coven and you reach out and you don't show up, that first off shows you're not dedicated. You're not dependable. When there's a meeting that needs to be held because maybe there's a conflict or someone's going through something, or let's say a coven member is close to going over the Rainbow Bridge, you're not dependable, and you just showed that before arriving to your first meeting. Now, before anybody's like, well, wait, things happen, you know what I mean? Like, slow your roll. We understand things happen, and that's fine. But that's when you have to take the steps and be like, hey, I can't make it to this because of this. You can't just do what a lot of people like to do nowadays and ghost it and push it to the side. And because, one, that just shows some things about yourself. Um, and when it comes to being a coven or being in a coven, you have to show that you're dedicated. You have to show that you're dependable. You have to show that you have the incentive of, hey, I want to learn. I want to be a part of this group. I want to be accepted. And show that you are going to be a valuable member of that coven. So these are things that you should be asking before you even dedicate yourself whatsoever and even reach out. Now, if you have all your little ducks in a row and you're ready for the commitment, you've got the time, you are just ready to go, 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 go. You find a coven, right? Whether you've reached out to a community leader, you found it on a website. There are some websites, unfortunately, Witchvox will be no longer come January. And for many of us who grew up in like the 90s, and that was our go-to for information and group meetups, and like it was just a time, right? But they are officially shutting down. So there are other places that you can go. Type it into your Google search, whatever state you're in, and put groups, public meetups, festivals, fairs, anything that would be witchy that you would find other pagans at. Now, once you do that, or let's say you have a friend and they know somebody that has a coven, or, network it out. You're going to have to do the footwork. Whether you're typing or whether you're walking, you got to put in the time. It's not just going to come, hey, I'm a coven. Come at me. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't normally happen that way. So once you find the coven, you reach out to the people, you set your meetup, you go there. These are the things you should be asking yourself. First off, as soon as you walk through and meet these people, does the energy match yours? Are you comfortable? Before you even get to know them. Your intuition is the best gift a witch can have. And if you are not trusting that intuition and you just keep on going forward because you want to be in a coven so bad, but yet your gut's telling you, no, stop, this ain't right, something's wrong, mayday, run, then it's going to end up in failure. So let's say you don't have that feeling and everything is going smoothly, and you're in there, and let's say one person just seems like they don't like you, they don't want you in there, and you already got that vibe starting out. You need to make it known, or you can either stick it out. Maybe they're one of those type of people who you have to kind of get to know, or they're one of those type of people who are the protector of the group. So they've seen people come and they've seen people go, and they're afraid to get close to somebody and let that person in. So it's kind of iffy where you got to figure it out. Now, another thing that you need to ask before joining a coven, what are their requirements? Do they have an initiation period? So my coven, we have a 6-month initiation period. And if we think that you show you're not dedicated, we will make it longer just to see if you're willing to stick it out, if things get better. We're the type of people that we know if situations arise, we get that. Medical, family, life, whatever it may be. So we give that opportunity to give them more time to get used to the group dynamic, to get used to who we are, and just to make sure it's a perfect fit. Now, some covens may not do this. They might accept you right off the bat. But here's what I'm going to say to that. If you walk into a coven and they accept you right off the bat, stop and think about this. If they're letting you in, they don't know you, they don't know your style, they don't know your energy, they don't know your dynamics, they don't know what kind of spell work you do. What else are they letting come through also? Because you got to realize the coven that you stick with and the energies that you get is not only your energy you're taking with you, you're taking the group energy. You are connected. So keep that in mind when looking for a coven. I'm not saying all covens that start out that way are bad, because, just some of us have a group of friends, we get together and things happen. But you also got to be weary. It's like protecting yourself. Energy is one of the most powerful things about magic. And, it's in the things we touch, in the things that we eat, it is in the people that we meet, and the places where we reside. So if you have certain energies that may not be working right with whatever type of spell work you got going on, then it can lead to complications. And so that's why I give that warning. Doesn't mean you have to take it by any means whatsoever, but it is a warning for you. Now, what about secrecy? Now, normally in covens, things that happen in the coven stay in the coven. It's almost like Vegas without all the glitz and the glam. And there's a reason behind this. One, you don't want your spell work, your information, or let's say Sally did a hex on somebody and it went totally wrong, and now she's lost her job, she's lost her car, she's losing her house. Like, you don't want to put people's business out there. That's personal stuff. That's coven stuff. Also, some people like to keep their stuff secret, like what type of spell work they're doing, their magical practice, the way that they pray, the way that they work. Not all covens want people or allow people to watch what they're doing so they can take it back to theirs. So most covens will say, hey, this is our rule. If you go against it, you're out. Or some will have the 3 strikes and you're out. My coven, we have the 1 rule. Like, you're out. Because if I can't trust you the first time, why am I going to give you 3 more times to try to trust you? It's just not going to work. Or we'll do a probation period and talk about it and have discussions about it. So once you get through that, you found the coven and everything seems like it's going fine. Always remember, you are in a coven with people. All have different personalities. It's like having family, okay? You're not always going to get along. You're not always going to agree. You're not always going to be sure of what's going on. And me personally, I try within my coven that when we have an issue, we snip it in the ass. Because I don't want something to drag out for months and weeks and days or whatever it may be. If it gets to the point to where, well, we thought we had it, but we don't, we're going to have a meeting. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to make it known. Like, hey, we either need to come up with a solution or we're going to have to figure something out, okay? And it's not going to be fun. Now, I hate to do this, but it's one of those things. Like, if you can't come up with a resolution to an issue, then how are we going to make this work? I can't have 2 energies that are combative against each other, but I like the people, but I need a certain amount of energy for certain things. So, this is one of those things where you got to kind of keep in mind, in the back of your mind, like, hey, if I got an issue, I need to bring it up. Bring it up before your ritual. That's why during coven meetings, and this is, most of this stuff that I'm talking to you about is different scenarios. So if you can't find a coven and you decide to create a coven, these are some baselines that I personally do. Doesn't mean you have to do them, but maybe it will help you in the end, wherever you are within your journey. Excuse me. Hiccuping like crazy and it's nuts. Anyway, so these are good things to keep in mind, because it's just like when you're with a group of friends and you're like, hey, I want to go have pizza tonight. And everybody's like, yeah. But really, you have that one friend that really can't stand pizza and they're sick and tired of it, but they won't say nothing because the rest of the group likes it. It just goes, pizza or spell work, it's basically the same difference. So if you have this many people who want to do it and one person who doesn't, that one person who doesn't should have the opportunity to be able to leave that circle for that time while ever that is going on. For the reason being that Just because the majority wants to do it doesn't mean that person that doesn't want to do it shouldn't have the freedom to not do it because the majority is. That's my personal rule. Now, some other people might be different, but it keeps energies true to what you're doing. And it also gives them, the benefit of knowing that you respect their boundaries, you respect what they're doing. And, sometimes, all right, you got to set out. It's fine. It happens. Not all of us want to work both light and dark. Some of us want to work light. Some of us just only want to work dark. It is what it is. But that is another good point. You also want to make sure what type of spell work that each coven does. The last thing you want to do is be a light worker and going into a dark coven. Now, I'm not saying it's not doable, but I'm just saying you probably won't have the best experience that you're looking for. Me personally, I'm a witch of neutrality. I believe that you have to have dark and you have to have light to have a good balance in life. And that's the rule that I personally follow. You don't have to follow that. It's whatever's true to your path. That's what's great about being a pagan. If you don't like something, don't do it. And that's free will. That's our right as a human being. You don't have to do the things that you don't want to, and don't let anybody tell you that you have to. So hopefully this video, even in the many little rants that I've given, has gave you enough information to where you know how to find a coven or how to start a coven, you know what to expect on the coven, and so forth and so on. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. And if you want to support us any more than you already have, give us a like, subscribe, go to our Patreon. You can go to the Divine Witch, www.patreon.com/the DEVINE witch, WITCH.com. Well, you don't need the .com at the end, but don't worry about it. So I will provide that link below the video as well. I share a lot of content on there, different updates and spell work that I won't share on YouTube or on the Divine Witch blog as well. So it's up to you guys. I wish you guys the great, and I hope that the new year brings in a lot of magical happenings. Bye-bye.